And it seems like Hall of Fame point guards that transition into coaching usually aren't that good. Jason Kidd was an example who he's been better with Dallas, of course, Steve Nash, and now Chauncey Billups with Portland. It's way too early to write him off. But right now, Portland has some problems. Neil O'Shea, who was their president, GM, basically ran the entire organization. He got fired for workplace misconduct. And before the season, in the offseason, he said that this is the best roster he's ever assembled around Dame. And the big-time moves he made was Cody Zeller, Tony Snell, and Larry Nance Jr.
You know, I can't believe he said that shit. I thought that year they went to the WCF, that was their best roster.
When they got swept?
I thought last year's was the best roster.
That one too, but I thought
when they got swept by Curry?
Yeah, I thought that was because they had Seth, Nurkic was playing good. That was a really good I like that team.
They were beating the Warriors by double digits every game.
Yeah, I really like that. That team was just more exciting to watch. Last year was a really good team too. I thought Robert Covington, this illusion that he still is a great defender, that's probably done now because this dude, I don't know what's wrong with him. He used to be really great on defense, and he just...
The Blazers are 11-12, and they have lost by 31 to the Spurs at home, 30 to the Clippers, a 29-point loss to Denver, collapse against Sacramento, and a 22-point loss against Utah. And you mentioning Covington segues perfectly into this. Chauncey Billups admitted in a press conference post-game publicly that Covington can't guard the perimeter. He's admitted that. He's admitted that we don't have a lockdown guy. We don't have a perimeter stopper. And this is a conflict because Chauncey Billups,
he knows.
When he got the job in Portland, Chauncey, he wants to do three things. And in his press conferences, he has said repeatedly that he wants these three things to change in Portland. He wants them to stop being so isocentric. He wants them to move the ball better. He wants better effort. And he wants defensive intensity, and he wants Portland to be a good defensive team. So right now, Chauncey's trying to change around their defense, their effort, and how they play offensively. But so far, it hasn't worked, and I don't think it's a testament to Chauncey. I think the roster just isn't constructed in that way. Dame can't play defense. CJ can't play defense. Covington is not a good on-ball defender. He's a help defender, and even then, he's up and down. Norman Powell is 6'3", playing small forward.
He's all right, though.
And Nurkic, Nurkic at one point was a great defender. Now you see it in spurts because of his injuries the leg injury he dealt with. It's hard to recover from that, and he still hasn't fully recovered.
Nasir Little has been good though.
Nasir Little has been a pleasant surprise. So that begs this question: how does Portland get better? How do they move forward? The Neil O'Shea thing,
I do.
Misconduct thing, sad, unfortunate situation. Hopefully the workers, prayers out to them. But for the Blazers, I mean, how do they get better? We've been talking about them blowing it up for probably 2 years now. I mean, is it the time to do it now?
Yeah.
I said it, and it's crazy. I said it when they lost to Denver. I think we all agreed it's time. That was a series they should have won. No Jamal Murray. You're clearly the favorites, and this is the second time this happened where you walked in as the favorites and you lost to the lower seed, one being against the Pelicans. Granted, there is no granted. You lost. This one last year, you lose. Dame put on a show. Put on a show. His teammates did not help him. But at the same time, you should have blew it up last year. And I'm high on Chauncey, but I'm very emotional about it. That's just from emotion. I like Chauncey. I just want him to succeed. That's just an emotional thing. From a analyst perspective, the team isn't constructed the way he's looking at it. He wants to make this Detroit. I can see it clear as day in the way he's talking. He wants to bring this back to Detroit days where his team was very ball movement. They were a great defensive team, and their culture was just different. They had a mindset to play for each other every night. You saw the effort every night. Whether even they're getting blown out, you saw the effort every night with that Detroit team. There was no egos on that team. There was everybody playing for each other. And I think he wants to bring that here. And I applaud him. And I think the one way they can do it is they blow it up. Yeah. Nasir Little, is that how you say his first name?
Nasir Little.
Thank you. Nasir Little and Fernie Simmons, they've been a pleasant surprise. They've been good. Obviously, you keep them.
Anthony Simons.
Thank you. Anthony Simons. You keep them. They're the young guys. Okay, you keep those two guys. Nurkic, Powell, Dame, CJ, you have to go. And I said this before, but Knicks fans laughed at me. Dame to New York can happen. It should happen. It's a possibility. Now it's looking real possible because RJ Barrett isn't what they thought it was. Now it's looking legit possible. Like, you should make that move now. I think the time to make the move now, whether it's Dame to New York, which I think should be better. I want to see Dame in the Mecca because that's just like OD, or Dame to Philly. You know, maybe it's now time to pull that trigger for Ben Simmons and start anew. You want a guy who can play defense? There he is right there. You want a guy you can possibly change his mindset? Whatever, let's try it. You have nothing to lose, literally. You know, make that move. CJ, you could probably get a first-round pick out of CJ somewhere. I mean, you know, he's a bucket. You could probably, maybe.
He's getting paid $30 million.
Oof, you got to figure that out. I mean, CJ for Buddy Hield and a pick? Maybe? No.
I actually have, you bringing up that RJ Barrett thing actually brought up an interesting scenario in my head. First of all, CJ is getting paid $30 million. He's getting paid more than CP3, Jokic, Brandon Ingram, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And this contract is until the 23-24 season.
Oof.
So any team who takes on CJ's contract, they're going to take it on for a while. In the offseason, Philly proposed a trade to Portland, Simmons for CJ. And Portland gives a lot of picks up. Philly wouldn't want to. I think Portland doesn't want to give up the picks.
Yep.
Maybe they can give up maybe a few, but not the boatload Philly was asking for. What if Portland trades CJ to Philly for Ben Simmons, and they trade Dame to New York for RJ and OB and picks?
You have to get the picks back. So,
and then the team can be Anthony Simons, Ben, RJ, Nurkic, and
Covington.
Whatever.
Covington got to go too, yo.
You know, Covington has to go. His contract's up this year, so they could just let him walk, like gradually leave the building and never come back.
Covington sucks, bro.
It's
oh my goodness.
Yo,
Portland has to get young. Portland has to either get young talent or they have to get picks back.
Yeah.
Or they have to. Well, they probably should maintain their next year pick because they're gonna suck. This year's they could probably give it up.
I will say this: I don't think the Knicks should trade Obi though. I just don't want them to trade Obi. I get it; it's for Dame.
Well, you have to match contracts, so Fournier is probably gonna have to go.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. What if we trade RJ Fournier? Because Fournier is replaceable. Let's be honest. Alec Burks can easily replace him.
Trust me, I know Fournier
You
is
were
replaceable.
big on Fournier.
Trust me, I know.
So huge on Fournier.
Fournier is replaceable, so we can have Dame, Alec Burks.
You have to keep quickly at all.
Randall,
costs.
yeah, have to.
I'm sorry,
Randall,
you have to.
Mitch, and who's our three? I'm forgetting our three. I'm just blanking on the name right now. RJ was our three.
Yeah, you're trading.
Basically, because Fournier, RJ.
Damn. So RJ.
So we'd have a gap at the three.
RJ Fournier. You have to give something up because what Dame's getting paid about 35.
What if we can get Covington back?
Ew.
I don't know, maybe.
No. You're good, bro.
Or Nasir Little.
You're not getting him.
Why not?
He's the only young guy. You're definitely not getting. I mean, unless they want to. They love Greg Brown. He just did an East Bay the other day.
Nah, bro. He's just athletic. That's all he is.
Portland's in a weird predicament, and it sucks because they kind of put themselves in a hole because they kept thinking they'll be competitive, we'll win eventually. No, you weren't going to win eventually. Dame, as great as he is, I don't think he can be the best player in the championship team. I think he's kind of the Robin in it all. Yeah. He's like the Anthony Davis or the Kyrie in a sense. He's that guy that you got that one guy, and then it's him on any given night. He can be that guy. I think he can be the best player in a playoff team consistently. Yeah, that's easy. Mm-hmm. But in a championship team, I don't think he's that. So it's going to be tough. These contracts are big, but Dame is probably the guy that's going to get them the most, obviously.
Get a lot for Dame
so New York, Philly, get the call in because I think those are the two places that can offer them.
How about Boston?
What are they offering? Romeo Langford?
No,
I'm good, bro.
Can't they give up Jaylen Brown for him? Because I heard Jaylen Brown, I'm hearing that Boston might consider trading him too. And he's young. He's relatively young, and Boston wants to win now. I think he fits better with Tatum. I think Dame fits better with Tatum.
I think Jaylen Brown fits what Chauncey wants to do.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, if you get Jaylen Brown, you start anew. Now you got a guy.
He's young, too. I mean, he's coming off injuries, but, once he comes back, Jaylen Brown's still a good player, like a really good player, all-star caliber guy. And you pair someone who's win now with Jason Tatum, who I think he fits Jason Tatum's game a little better than
Boston has looked, even when Jaylen Brown hasn't played, Boston has looked very good.
Yeah.
They're just after Marcus Smart called them out.
Tatum and Dame would be crazy.
After Marcus Smart called the Celtics out, call Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown out. Jaylen Brown went out with injury for a couple games. The Celtics started winning. If the Celtics could trade Jaylen Brown for Dame, I think it benefits both sides.
Yeah, me too.
Dame and Tatum, both top 15 players, consensus easily. Top 11 players, both of them at Tatum's best, because this year he's been below what we expect him to be. Yeah, Tatum. We know Tatum's still phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And now Portland, you get to build around Jaylen Brown, who fits Chauncey's mindset of playing defense. Maybe the ball movement isn't there, but Chauncey helped develop Kawhi and PG as playmakers when he was an assistant coach with the Clippers. He could do the same thing with Jaylen Brown.
He didn't help. He developed Kawhi. He did that. Like, that was all Chauncey. So it's Jaylen Brown, yeah. You need something. Like, you need to build a foundation.
Young talent.
Whether it's Jaylen Brown, whether it's RJ Brick, you need something, bro. Like, you need to do something. You need to build the foundation.
And as far as CJ, what do you think you guys could get from him?
I think you can get a first. I think the Bucks got 3
What about
first
just
round
Simmons?
picks for
What
Drew
about
Holiday.
trading and getting Ben and Jaylen Brown on the team?
Oh, if you can just get CJ for Ben straight up.
Brown.
Yeah.
If you can get CJ for Ben straight up, that's fine.
I think Philly's desperate at this point.
I think, that would make Portland a very different team identity-wise.
Defensively.
If Portland can trade CJ
But
to
then you
Philly,
can keep Covington, because now he can just be off-ball defender.
if Portland can trade CJ to Philly for Ben Simmons, get Ben Simmons back in return, and if they can trade Dame to Boston for Jaylen Brown, now you have Ben Simmons and Jaylen Brown.
That's a nice backcourt of the future.
That's a nice core to build around for Chauncey Billups, and he fits what they want to do.
Now you have to build around those two guys. You have to draft well, and you still got Norman Powell. That contract's big too.
But Norman Powell, he's good.
Yeah, no, I like him.
Powell's
I like him.
He's good.
I like him.
I really think, like, because we're talking about trading and blowing it all up, and maybe that's not necessary here because Dame wants to be in Portland, even though right now this is the thing with the difference between Chauncey and Terry Stotts. I wanted to mention this. They play different with Stotts, and I got this from KOC's video on Portland, The Void. He does amazing work. Portland is top 5 in corner threes allowed right now. With Terry Stotts, they played a lot of drop coverage. With Chauncey, he wants to switch. He wants to blitz ball handlers off of screens, but they're 27th in switching when they switch on defense. They're 29th in drop coverage, and they're 30th when they're aggressive in blitzing. So it doesn't matter what defensive scheme Chauncey tries to run. He doesn't have the personnel for it to be successful. And you can say Billups is stubborn in the way he wants to run things, but Chauncey's a champion, and he knows what it takes. And these guys in Portland aren't champions. They don't know what it takes. Chauncey knows what it takes to build a team with that type of identity. If they want to keep Dame, I would trade CJ to go get Ben Simmons, and Norman Powell can play the two. I don't think there's a huge drop-off from CJ to Norman Powell. Norman Powell is shooting 44% from 3, averaging 17 to 18. I think, they'll still be good. If they can get Ben Simmons can fix a lot of their defensive problems. I don't think they're a championship contender by getting Ben by any means, but they definitely become better defensively.
It's just confusing to me. Chauncey is a champion. He was the player coach on that team. Like, he was the coach on the court. He goes to the Clippers. He was a big part of that development. He was a big part of Tyronn Lue has said he was one of the guys. He was the guys that draws up the plays too. Like, he helped a lot for that Clippers team. They go to the WCF. This is a guy who has a lot of success, and I don't think it's stubbornness. I think he understands he doesn't have the personnel. He just wants his team to play harder. I just think Portland, those guys, they're just at the end of the tail. Like, bro, we're just not that good.
That's why I said they weren't going to make the playoffs.
And Chauncey has called out guys on multiple occasions.
I respect it.
He calls them out almost after every single game, pretty much, and he calls them out and says, he's even said, even when you win, it doesn't always mean it's a win because the way you won, you didn't execute things correctly. So Chauncey's being very hard on his players. It doesn't look a very fun place to play, but he's trying to build a contender, and it's going to take some time.
They're veterans. So
with that in mind, back to what he said about Covington. Robert Covington has been the most overrated, underrated player in the NBA in recent years. And I know that's a juxtaposed position to have because it really doesn't make much sense, but there's a lot of people that think he's underrated, great defender, great role player. But when you actually have him on your team, because when I was rooting for James Harden with the Rockets, Covington wasn't good. He couldn't guard the perimeter.
Stretch though, and he was just like amazing. He had like 12 blocks and like 12 steals.
He's so up and down from 3. He's not a consistent 3-point shooter. And in Portland right now, Covington isn't good. Chauncey Billups called him out and said he can't guard the perimeter. And this is a guy that I think fans still think Covington is a great defender when it hasn't been that way for years, at least on ball. He's a help defender. That's all he is. And he's been the most overrated, underrated player in the NBA.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, I saw an interview where Kevin Durant, when he made the all defensive first team that one year, Kevin Durant was like, yo, he's so easy to score on. Like, I mean, it's Kevin Durant though, but I know Kevin Durant's like a lot of players will agree with me that he's pretty easy to score on. I mean, remember in the OKC series where Schroeder was targeting him?
Schroeder was cooking him, bro.
Frying him.
He was frying him.
Frying him.
Bro, anybody that Covington was.
When they played Minnesota, when Clippers played Minnesota, PG and Kawhi were literally like taking turns, just giving him buckets.
I know.
Like
I don't know how
when they both had 40.
Yeah, they were taking turns. Bro.
I don't know how he made an All NBA defensive team.
You know, it goes into stats.
He was probably good on defense that year, though. I mean,
I don't know.
He had a lot of steals, a lot of deflections.
The fact that Daryl Morey thought he can be their small ball 5 and have success that way is ridiculous.
I thought he thought PJ.
Well, PJ was the 5, but it was it was like both.
I mean, yeah, I was one of those people. I was kind of high on Covington too until I actually started watching him play.
I thought in Portland he'll be all right.
And then when you hear players like dissect a certain player's game and how easy it is to score on him, and then you just watch it on every night, it's like, where does he get this? How does he become this overrated as a defender? Like I don't get it.
He's averaging 7 points, bro.